What's going on, guys? Today I want to admit something that I have never openly admitted on this channel. I just want to say this out loud and process it with you. On this whole channel and my whole journey, ever since I got depressed in 2011, the whole idea was to get better, was to overcome suicidal depression. And I think what I was able to accomplish looked and felt like depression recovery. But the longer I've dealt with lingering mood disorders, anxiety, persistent depression, I think what I never fully admitted, maybe even to myself, but certainly not to you guys, is that I figured out how to be consistently less depressed. But I'm honestly not fucking sure I ever beat depression. And expectations sort of change the longer you deal with this stuff. So I had this massive breakdown in 2011. It was really brutal. It left me hospitalized, as I've said before. I couldn't work anymore. I lost 30 pounds. I was deeply suicidal, panic attacks. I went on different therapies and medications and blah, blah, blah. I went through the gauntlet. It was really, really bad. And then I found out I had low testosterone, and it was like this white light of hope. And hope was a really fragile thing for me then, and it sometimes still is now, but it was really, really fragile then when I was hanging on for dear life every second of every day. And so I found out I had low testosterone, and I treated it. But that never completely improved things. It was just one piece of the puzzle. And I've said that before, right? So I got my hormone issue figured out. And that led to me being less depressed. And that was a really big step in the right direction. And being less depressed at first, when you've been battling really severe clinical depression, it's a win. Like it is. Like you can keep living off of that feeling that at least you're making progress. And then I had some setbacks and little baby relapses in my depressive symptoms, and then when that would happen, I would tighten up even more, and I shared this all on the channel. One of the biggest things I changed after that was getting sober. Finally gave up alcohol. I'm an alcoholic. And it was really tough getting sober, and I was really depressed and miserable, but I sort of chalked it up to being sober. And so I would get these little moments, these little stretches of feeling better, and I would share them openly on the channel, and I wasn't shy about it, and I was so excited. And one time I even got 3 weeks where I thought maybe I'd beat depression and anxiety. Like maybe this was what I always imagined life could be after mood disorders, but I couldn't hold it. And I think that's been one of the most consistent issues I've been dealing with, is not being able to hold what I would consider life without any depression and anxiety. So then it begs the question, like, did I have false expectations of what life could be after a major depressive episode, a severe, very long-lasting, treatment-resistant major depressive episode? Was I in fucking denial to think that there would ever be life where I wasn't at least always a bit depressed, a bit foggy, a bit apathetic, a bit anxious? You know what I mean? That's where I get confused. And I was like scared to admit that, because when I start thinking that way, when I assess the last 4 or 5 years, it literally scares me to death to think that I've only figured out how to be less depressed. I've never figured out how to just be okay and feel okay to the point where I'd be like, I'm not depressed anymore. My normal life experience is still some form of depression, and I guess that is dysthymia. I don't think that's unique to me, but I struggle with that. Like, I don't want to accept that. I don't know if I'm supposed to accept that in order to survive on this planet. I don't want to. I don't want that to be something I just have to accept. But it's been like 4 or 5 years since my breakdown. And it definitely gets old and redundant on this channel to keep saying I've been struggling, but the last 2 or 3 months, if I didn't know any better, I would say I was for sure clinically depressed again. And I don't get it. Here's some of the symptoms of major depression on WebMD. Difficulty concentrating, remembering details. Check for me. Fatigue and decreased energy. Check. So I've been having trouble getting out of bed again. Feelings of hopelessness and pessimism. For sure, check. Early morning wakefulness or excessive sleeping. I'm just having trouble staying asleep now. Again. Irritability. Check. Loss of interest in activities, hobbies, pleasurable, including sex. I've had no sex drive for 2 weeks. It's been awesome. My wife loves it. Or 2 months, excuse me. Persistent aches, check. Sad, anxious, empty feelings, and suicidal thoughts. I have like every symptom in WebMD, but I'm like supposed to be some sort of figure for mental health on this platform. So where am I going wrong? It's not like a woe is me. It's just like, what do we do here? Like, how do I process, how do I deal with this? Because if I look at how the last couple months have been as I've crashed again, I start to think I can't live like this forever. And so now we're back to that. And suddenly being less depressed isn't okay anymore. It's not good enough. And I don't want to act like I haven't had good days, occasionally weeks. And I had a record once where I hit 3 weeks where I was above a 5. If below a 5 is depressed, 5 is in the middle, and above a 5 is, I guess, whatever life is when you're not depressed, happy. I've only ever been above a 5 consistently for about 3 weeks. Otherwise, it's always 4, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, and then occasionally worse. I'm contemplating antidepressants because it's the only thing I've never really dove in deep into, because I'm just petrified. Because if you know my story, you know that it started with a bad reaction to a medication. I'm seeing a guy who's doing neurofeedback. I'm doing acupuncture. I've re-upped with my doctor about holistic approaches. I'm going to try everything like full blown. I'm reading Brain. I'm blitzing again. And I hope to God that my best years are not behind me, because I have this like incredible life developing as I try to work through a confused feeling about lingering symptoms of depression and anxiety. Having never had a major depressive episode until I had one, didn't know what to expect in any way, shape, or form. But it hasn't been as peachy as I might have hoped. It didn't just end one day, and I've shared about that too. These last couple months have stripped me of a lot of my energy and a lot of my hope for my own long-term chances, you know. I don't mean to be dark, but once you've been suicidal for a couple of years and then you come out of it, it's easy to go back there. And so that means I need to re-up my hope supply. So I've been doing a lot of things, and I'm going to keep doing a lot of things, and I'm going to keep sharing them. One thing's for sure, I know I can't continue to do the same things hoping for different results. And like, what's your experience with this? Long-term depression. Dysthymia that just seems to dip into more severe, then back to dysthymia with little baby moments of remission. How did you cope with that? What finally put you over the edge? If being less depressed is my story, I hope I'm able to accept that. I really do. I hope I can accept that. But until then, I need to dot every I and cross every T, and then continue to do the best I can to be open and vulnerable with you guys. Just know that I have good intentions. I mean well. I hope you know that I don't think it's all about me. I hope that I can help you in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know what I don't know, and I try hard not to trust these hopeless feelings. I don't think it's the real me. I think I was born to be stable and relatively happy. So keep trying. I appreciate you guys.